the right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about in?
That is better than most. Better than most. Expect anything different?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the No Laying Up Golf Podcast. My name is Randy. This is our Saturday evening KPMG Women's PGA show to help me break down not only today's action, but the first 2 days as well, and to set everything up heading into the final round Sunday. I'm joined by three of my associates. Let's go around the horn. Tron, Carter, TC, what's going on tonight?
What's up, Big? Big day of golf. Big few days of golf. And I think Fields Ranch has been provocative, to say the least. So we can get into that. We got players whinging. It's been fun.
It has been. Yeah, a lot to unpack. We'll get into that. Cody McBride's been on site. He's running the board for us. Cody, what's going on, my man?
I'm here. Listen, it's been hot. It's been windy. I had to dip out to the pool today, Big, but I'm excited to be back home, ready, fired up to talk about it and get everything set up for tomorrow.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, Miss Jordan Perez. JP, what's going on? How are you?
I'm wonderful, guys. Honestly, watching all the golf these past 3 days, it's made me feel very dehydrated, very dry. I feel like I'm there, Cody.
Parched.
Yeah. Parched, if you will. So yeah, needing a lot of water these days, but other than that, great.
Well, good. Stay hydrated for the show. Cody, let's thank our sponsor, Titleist. What do we have to say about Titleist this week?
Yeah, of course, Big. Our friends at Titleist this week at the KPMG Women's PGA Championship, just like it is at every LPGA major. It doesn't matter if it's the Chevron, the U.S. Women's Open, every event on the LPGA calendar. Titleist is the overwhelming number one ball in golf. That's right, 109 players teed up to Pro V1 and Pro V1X golf balls on Thursday at the PGA Frisco. 70% in the field. That's more than 5 times the nearest competitor with 19. Okay.
Wow.
If you look at the leaderboard, more than likely they're playing a Titleist up there. You let me know. We see her long putter and all, just stroking it. Austin Kim, she plays the X. We'll talk about her a little bit later. Leona McGuire, Signs of Life. She plays the Pro V1. You know, you can go on and on. The best players in the world, they're dialed into every part of their bag. And that, of course, includes their golf ball. Comparing the Pro V1, Pro V1X to Pro V1 gives you that mid-trajectory flight, low long game spin, and maximum short game spin with a softer feel on the club. On the other hand, the Pro V1X that I play, it's going to fly higher, spin more on the long game, and offer a firmer feel. And the Pro V1X left dash will fly high, similar to the Pro V1X, but will feel dramatically lower full swing spin and even firmer feel. Head to Titleist.com to start the process and find out which golf ball is right for your game. Thank you to Titleist. And that's it, guys. I don't want to hear anything about ads. It's literally Titleist. We're going to talk a little bit about NLU on the back end. Let's talk Fields Ranch.
Well, let's do it. Let me, and this might come up, but let me pose the question to you guys. Let's start here. JP, what has you most excited for tomorrow? If you want to take this as what's been the biggest story through 54 holes, you may certainly go in that direction. But what's got you amped up for tomorrow?
I will defer to my colleagues who have more passionate takes about course and setup than I do. But I think the thing that has me excited the most is Minjee. And I know it feels a little bit basic, but I remember a conversation we had about the U.S. Women's Open a few years ago when we were doing our deep dive. And I guess I felt boldly at the time stated how much I loved Minjee's U.S. Women's Open. And you guys were not very pumped about it. You guys thought it was pretty sleepy for her. And that's her most legitimate major to date. And if she wins tomorrow, you got to put that to rest. Okay. Like, that this is some BD stuff from Minjee, and I'm really excited for her. this. I mean, this is just
Talking to-
incredible.
talking to the
Tron, you
biggest
weren't
Minjee
involved.
fan
You
ever.
weren't involved. You weren't involved. You are the biggest Minjee champ around. So I'm not. You were not involved. I'm
No, but he
speaking about
does
my two other
agree. He
colleagues.
does agree with how Pine Needles played for the U.S.
Yes.
Women's
Then
Open.
He's
it's
on
and
our
it's
side.
fair and
He
it's
neutered
fair,
it.
but Minjee is legit AF, and tomorrow could prove that.
Yeah.
Today was crazy impressive. Yeah, we'll get into that. Cody, what's got you most excited?
Well, I had this big monologue plan to talk about Jeeno, and the time has come, and we find, what the
Then she
fuck,
shot
man?
76.
76. So I'm gonna pivot here and go down a route. I don't want to make an enemy of TC this early, but guys, Lexi Thompson continues to wow.
That's what you're most excited
Wow.
about tomorrow.
Wow.
She
And
shot
I say this-
75 today.
I say this because I hope that she finishes like T21, because I think it's been so hot and windy, and you see it. And I think today hopefully was just a bound round for Jeeno. Lexi gets so much run, a lot of it's deserved. But again, I'm at to the point where it's like them catching, hey, I never said retire. I'm not doing this. Either win or just move stage right, please. And I think that's where I'm kind of at
There's
with the whole
no
thing.
chance that's going to happen, even if she doesn't win.
For sure.
Credit to her. She hung in there after that first hole. We'll get there. TC,
Epic first hole.
Yeah, TC, with so many directions we could go here. What's got you most excited?
Truly. I mean, I love watching Minjee play golf. She was nails today. She was flawless. I want to see him keep the pedal down with the setup. We can get to the setup. I want to see if Jeeno's got that dog in her. Excited about that.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be windy again tomorrow. I think a little bit less than the last couple of days, but hopefully that continues, because I love that. And then guys, I got to address the elephant in the room. Tommy Ladd. I'm excited about that too. It's a 3-shot lead and flawless golf today. He shot 63, hit 14 of 14 fairways, I think 15 greens. Just played brilliant. Looks the part. So I think like in our pre-week stuff, I had both Minjee and Keegan in the one and done stuff, and then I had Tommy winner without Scotty in my plays this week. So it's just, I don't know, I'm trying to contain myself. Like, I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. I could not be more excited.
Well, let's ask you the other elephant in the room. Will you be jumping on a flight and heading to Hartford, Connecticut tomorrow?
Listen, I don't want to. That's not my place right now to say anything out of respect for Tommy and Travelers and KPMG and Fields Ranch and Gil Hans and Minjee. I'm not going to answer that question. No comment, Randy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I echo what all you guys are saying. I don't have anything new or unique. I just want to see another tough major championship day, and I can't wait to see how Minjee handles it with a 4-shot lead. We saw her. She had a rough final round at the 2024 U.S. Women's Open. This is kind of her first big test since then. I think you hit the nail on the head with, we're going to see if Jeeno's got that dog in her. Obviously not the day that she wanted. We'll see how she bounces back. Let's quickly, we'll get into some birdies and bogeys here. Just to run down the leaderboard. I probably should have done this right off the top, but first place, 6 under par, Minjee Lee. She shot a bogey-free 69 today. Just incredible out of that final group. In second place, Jeeno Thitikul. She shot a 76. Not so great. She started the day with what did she shoot? She started the day with a 3-shot lead, and it now trails by 4. But she's got to look. Solo second. There are a triumvirate of women at +1, tied for third. That includes Lexi Thompson. Miyu Yamashita from Japan is in that group, and Korea's Heejin Choi. At tied for 6, we get to Nelly Korda. She finished +2 overall. Leona Maguire showing signs of life on a difficult setup like that. Yulimi No had an interesting day today. She's at +2. And Chisato Iwai is at +2. And then tied for 10th, a group of women. Grace Kim, want to shout out, round of the day. She shot a 68 early, moved up, I think, 58 spots. to get inside the top 10 now. And Ronnie Yin, just a solid day, sloppy double on 17, but then hold a bunker shot on 18. She's tied for 10. So there is your leaderboard heading into Sunday. I think we start here with Minjee, though. You can throw any adjective you want at it, and we have already, but it was just proper. Bogey-free 69. I mean, birdied the 9th, the par 5 9th, the par 5 14th, the short par 4 15th, made some clutch par putts. I believe was the only woman this week that has had a bogey-free round, and to do it out of the final group on Saturday is crazy impressive. Guys, I don't know what, it's like, give her all the flowers. It just was a hell of a day. But she's got to sleep on it. She's got to come back out in probably just as difficult conditions tomorrow and kind of do it again. So it'll be very interesting.
Randy, you know what the craziest thing about Minjee's round was today?
What's that?
She lost strokes approaching the green.
Did she really?
Yeah. She was almost 2 shots off the tee, minus 0.5 approaching the green, great around the green, and like 4th in putting. She was awesome putting. So overall tee to green, she was among the leaders, but just kind of goes to show you, like, I think it feels very sustainable. She was just nails all day, and made a lot of putts, but also missed a couple too. So and it's like, called it at kind of the beginning of the week of like people that can control their ball and they're comfortable with it on the ground are going to do well here. And I think that's playing out for sure.
Yeah. Jordan, you referenced her victory a few years back at Pine Needles on a setup that was much softer. I think what the women might like this week to more resemble that Pine Needle setup. How much confidence do you have in Minjee tomorrow? I mean, clearly the woman to beat, but are we nervous at all?
Maybe nervous to the fact that she is sleeping on a lead, but I mean, it's a pretty nice cushion. And I guess, like Pine Needles on that day in particular was cakewalky in comparison to this week. But I don't know. I mean, just to see the way that she's weathered these kind of conditions has been really impressive. And, a final round is a different arena. So I think her mental game will be put to the test immeasurably. So I don't know. I have a little bit of nerves. I really want to see what Jeeno is made of, though, and I think tomorrow we'll say a lot about Jeeno Thitikul and, what she can do. I just found today to be, I had it in my notes today, guys. I was like, Jeeno is that girl. She's the best player in the world. Like, what? Wow. Like, she's going to do this. And then we get to the back 9 and I'm like, oh, no, she's not going to do this. And, if this is the end of the road for Jeeno this week, then I have all the confidence in the world for Minjee. It'll be a cakewalk again for her tomorrow. But if the conditions are the same also, who's to say someone else won't rise up? And I guess we'll talk about that when how far back is too far back. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm going into word salad and scrambled eggs here, but a lot going on.
Jordan, I think to your point about tomorrow, I think it's gonna be really interesting where number 1 played as the hardest hole today, 5.6 scoring average. There were only 2 holes that played below par today, 9 and 15. But number 1, par 5, number 2, shorter par 4, that played as the 4th hardest hole, 4.436. And then number 3 is relatively gettable par 5. And I think that we could see a lot of movement in those first 3 holes tomorrow. And then, and then 4 is a par 3. So I think that could be a really volatile opening stretch tomorrow if something is going to happen.
It could be volatile, but I also think she has such an edge right now with her putting and with that opening stretch. She's really capitalized.
It could be a 7 or 10. It could be an 8 shot.
It could be a runaway. I know that is in the realm of possibility. I'm just looking quickly at Minjee's post-round presser transcript. They've one of the questions. You've obviously been on both sides. You have 2 major wins. you've had, leads that have gotten away. Kind of where does it stand? And Minjee was quoted as saying, quote, major Sunday is like no other. So regardless of where you are, I don't think you're really ever in a comfortable position until you're holding that trophy. Yeah, to your point, I think if she can get off and just put some pars on the board, God, that's going to help her. Cody, what are you feeling about Minjee heading into tomorrow?
Yeah, I think we talked about it. I think that what happened at Lancaster, specifically on that back nine, she went out, birdied her first hole in the final round there, and it felt like, oh, here we go. This is the third one for her, and it was great for her to pick up the U.S. Women's Open at Pine Needles to match her Evian, the original one. And then, it felt like something that got away, and she really struggled the rest of the year and came out of it way better player. And I think it has to do with the long putter, and she's definitely, riding the putter now, but she's ball striking her absolute face off. She's hitting fairways where she needs to. She's finding the proper angles and giving herself really good looks into these greens. But I would say, right now the gap is 4 from 6 under to where Jeeno's at is 2. I would honestly say that Jeeno needs to pick up 2 tomorrow on Minjee, because I think there's a ton of stress and pressure, specifically from Minjee. The telecast talked about it, how she was absolutely like crucified by the Australian media after the U.S. Women's Open last year. Like, called her a choker, the one that got away, everything. It wasn't good. And there's still, I want her to overcome that, but I know that there will be a part of that in there. And the way that the first, really the front 9, if she makes it through and still has more than 2 strokes ahead of Jeeno, she's doing very, very well for herself.
Yeah. We had talked about on the preview episode or the happy hour, I forget which one specifically, but Minjee had made it a real point to say, I thought I've played pretty well in the majors this year, 2025, until at some point in the weekend, and it's kind of gone sideways. So I'll note, we saw her at Erin Hills. She shot a 77 in round 4, ended up finishing tied for 22nd. And then at the Chevron 2, she shot a final round 74, ended up finishing tied for 14th. So it is, there are a few unknowns in there for tomorrow, especially in a major on a Sunday. I think it's going to be really interesting. And I'll just say too, I think a third major victory for her would be a really, any major win obviously is fantastic, but it puts her in a spot, amongst what I think of as kind of her generation. It'd be like her and Lydia. Inji Chun is still active. Obviously, she has 3 majors. Anna Nordquist, I consider a little bit older, maybe just the generation a little bit ahead of Minjee. But it would break a tie as far as major victories. Lilia Vu has 2, Nelly Korda has 2, Brooke Henderson has 2, Yuka Sasso has 2. There are many women, a lot of contemporaries of Minjee that have 2 majors, and so a third would kind of put her into more elevated 2.5.
2.5. 2.5.
Thank you, TC. Thank you. So yeah, that's going to be fascinating. Jeeno, as you guys have said, she's still chasing that first major. She's played unbelievably well week to week, and just hasn't found the form in the major championships thus far. But God, she looked so good. She putted, what'd she have? 199 feet and 5 inches worth of made putts on Thursday. She followed that up with a solid round 2, and then today didn't have a great putter, wasn't striking the ball well, missed a number of fairways. It seemed to me kind of death by 1,000 paper cuts. I don't know if you guys saw anything differently, but just a lot of bogeys, not many birdies. She missed kind of a shorty eagle on 15 after her best shot of the day. I don't know. I think she's in a tough spot where she's going to try to be hunting some birdies early. That front 9 is difficult. I almost am like, she's at the mercy of Minjee a little bit tomorrow.
I think the drive on 15 papered over a lot of mediocre stuff today. And It seems like the kind of course where if you're fighting a little bit off the tee, you're just automatically behind the 8 ball, because that's kind of the thing. It's like a second shot golf course. And you got to get off the tee to set that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, she did fight. Like she didn't have any doubles today, and I think it was one of those things where like nothing was going her way. She was stuck in neutral, but I was just disappointed with like 11, 12, 14. She had 3 bogeys in that stretch, and it just didn't seem like she was only 1 over through 10, and it's kind of like, all right, like there's time to stick your nose back in this thing, and she just went the wrong way. Kind of starting on that back 9, which those are really good holes. 10, 11, 12, 13. That's a great stretch. And, it was just, that's where she kind of got left in the dust. But again, I think like, I don't know if she plays like she's capable of, like she could make this, I think it's already a 2-horse race, but she could make it an actual race instead of just a runaway.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird if you look at her scorecard today. Obviously she didn't drive it well at all. Huge difference between round 1 and 2 and her driving accuracy, but really it's her ball striking, TC, and she had like the just tired swings. It looks like me on like day 3 of any one of our golf trip, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I just want to go home, man. I've got I've been hammered the last 3 nights. I'm getting 0 sleep, and like, are we done yet? That's what her swing
TC
looked
made
like.
us go get a tasting menu.
Exactly. We're up till midnight doing. Oh, but anyway, that's what it started to look like, and it kind of really came through in her irons first, and then leaked over to her driver, and she had some like epic blocks. What for people who haven't played Fields Ranch, pace of play has been obviously a big thing so far.
So let's play threesomes tomorrow.
We'll get to that. We'll get there. But what I'll say is that the way that you plot the course and the way that the wind's been coming is that there's like, there's little groupings, like little 3 to 4 hole blocks. And you see specifically when she got a straight like crosswind off of her right, going straight right to left, which is weird because she usually hits a pretty predominant fade or even a cut. You would think she would feel more comfortable being able to hit something that would hold it up. She was just like shipping them dead right. And it was like completely threw her off. And that's where you get 10, 11, 12. When she turned into 13, that's basically like directly almost back into it, maybe a little bit into her off the right. And then 14 surprised me as well, because that's like back into her, but coming from her left, and we saw her again miss it right. So it was interesting. It put some lipstick. 15 definitely did, but just wasn't as clean and rock solid as she'd been in round 1 and 2. And it's crazy because, she seemed unbeatable. Like that she was in complete control. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really know what Jeeno's going to show up tomorrow. Is she going to be the one that has like red ass and is ready to go, back out and get it? Or is it finally going to be, 5 days for them out playing 6-7 hour rounds plus practice and recovery on both ends? Like, did she run out of gas?
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't want to make excuses for her, but yeah, it's the pace, the waiting around. I feel like it's got to be easy to kind of lose focus, and you kind of make one bad swing and you're walking off with a bogey. As you said, we saw her block one dead right. What was that, off 11, I think? We kind of saw her miss a short putt on, was that the hole before 10? Maybe those two things are correlated.
Honestly, she did everything that I did in the video that's online at Fields Ranch. It was not good. I was like, fuck, I've been there, man. Like, I know exactly what that feels.
Feel you, dog.
Oh, that putt? Yeah. Like, of course.
Yeah. JP, do you think anybody has a chance outside of the 2 women under par, Minjee and Jeeno?
I don't know. I liked what I saw from Miu toward the end of her round. There was some BD action there. Lexi, do we want to get into the Lexi discussion yet?
Take us to the Lexi discussion, please.
I don't know. My takes are all over the place, because on one hand, it's like that that triple was just, gosh, like she could totally eject herself tomorrow. I think that would be in a circumstance in which she would. I don't think she would quite recover the same as she did today. And that was impressive.
JP,
Like,
to her credit though, yeah, like being 4 over through 2 and then getting in the house 1 under the rest of the way.
I thought she battled her
It's like-
ass off.
Props to her, and she probably
made
signed a bunch of autographs along the way.
She made so many par putts that I was flabbergasted she was rolling in some of those par putts.
Okay, and the one thing, so I don't want to assume that everybody understands what happened on one. Big, do you want to describe how she played her first hole?
I was still a Roos Major. Jordan, did you watch it live?
I did not watch it live. I missed that one live.
All right. Well, I will describe it then as best I can. I did go back and watch it. Shout out the KPMG Shotcast or whatever they're calling it this week. I mean, she just straight up cold topped her second shot, and then I believe shanked her third into a penalty area. So then had to come back and drop from that spot. So all of a sudden she's, shank 3, drop 4. She's hitting 5 into the first hole, the par 5, goes to the back of the green and then can't get up and down, and so walks off with a snowman. I'm like you guys, I'm shocked she didn't shoot 79 or higher today. She locks back in. She does bogey 2, I guess, and then after that, bogey's 8, but then birdie's 9, birdie's 15. And otherwise, it's a clean scorecard. It's a 75. She's tied for third. She's not retired. Don't say she's retired. I also have no confidence at all. If Minjee spits the bit and this truly becomes a wide open race tomorrow, let me be the first to say I have no confidence at all that those par putts are going to fall tomorrow for Lexi. I don't think she's actually a threat to win this tournament. I don't know if that's out of bounds or not, but
Randy, I was worried for a sec that she was gonna somehow get into the final group.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But yeah, Hyjin Choi is in
the
final group, and then it's Lexi, Nelly, and Mamacita.
Was Lexi on the clock today?
Probably.
Was anybody on the clock?
Yeah.
Was everybody on the clock?
Right.
It's possible.
I don't understand how 3 hours and 15 minutes for 9 holes and they're not stroking anybody.
I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow too. They're doing, threesomes off of 2 tees, and you've got a group going off at 11:55 off of hole 10, and you've got the leaders going off at 11:50 off of 1. They might have to wait, and a few groups ahead of that. You've got Carlota, who shot 82 today, going off at 11:33 off of hole 10.
Oh, my
they
God.
might have to wait for an hour at the turn.
Yeah. Because I think the wind's going to be just as bad. All right. I don't want to. Okay. Yeah. Lexi. Cody, I mean, can she back it up tomorrow? Does anybody think she's actually
I think she is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I truly think that she is. Now, when it comes down to these short putts,
component, right?
Yeah, the short putts, that will be an element here. But all Lexi does is spend time outside hitting balls, playing every single day on Bermuda. And, we talked about how in the preview, how she played last week. She's playing really damn good. And I think this course like this has enough volatility in it that she can, you've seen her. She's putting from everywhere and she's legging her ass off. And yeah, I do see it. I don't know, physically wise she has it. And I was just going to say she has Nelly right, one behind her. But I don't.
Who wins tomorrow? Nelly or Alexa? Just straight matchup.
I mean,
giving Nelly a one-shot
I dare our
obviously.
Friends at FanDuel to put that up tomorrow.
Right.
It's got to be Nelly, right?
The one thing that I'd say about Nelly is where everybody this week has took a turn to negative down, talking about, the course and setup and everything. Nelly's just been rock solid, and it's been, yep, this is a course. It's a major championship. It's hard. It's hot in Texas. It's the end of June. And people who listen to this show, I think, as soon as we started this calendar year and we talked about the majors, we've like, listen, this is going to be unbearable to have it in, the end of June in Frisco, Texas. And that's exactly what's happening here. And, Nelly's taking the high road, and I definitely applaud her for that. I just don't know if she has she just doesn't look as sharp as she, has been. And that's like setting aside not having any wins or anything this year. Like, she's had a really good year though. It's just, she doesn't look like that she has it like all together this week.
She
Can I
sounded worn
piggyback
out
off-
in her presser afterwards, or I don't know if it was a presser or a stand up, but she got 2 questions just about, kind of describing how hard it is. She said, "Trust me, it's so brutal out there. Greens are so firm. It's blowing 30 to 35. It's messing with your putts. It's just, you're just happy to get 18 under your belt on a day like this. It's just brutal. You're exhausted after these days because it's such a premium to hit the fairways, but you're starting it so far right. It's almost like you're playing in a British Open. You can't run it up to these greens because if you hit short some of these greens, it just sucks straight back."
Yeah.
Jordan, you were going to say something, please.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, related to how she's been talking to the media and how open she's been and, candid. I watched that particular interview live, and I just think of, of late, and maybe this is just like overall, like Nelly's just had an incredible attitude through everything, and she takes interviews, she doesn't run away from the press, none of that, and I really commend her in all these phases. And because the expectation every single week is it's Nelly, it's Nelly, it's Nelly. And no matter the day, she's open and willing to talk about it. And like, she had a good day today. That's not saying that it probably would have been any difficult for her, but everybody this week, more or less, I guess anybody that's had a moment to talk about setup, course, anything has complained. They've laid it all out. They've complained. There's not been no joyful attitudes. And I'm not saying Nelly was particularly joyful, but she was playful in a sense. Like, she's like, yeah, that's just how it is. And I just want to commend Nelly on that because I think she's had a fantastic attitude.
I think too, we talked about after Erin Hills, like she's shown up now in like difficult conditions, windy, firm, we can put to bed that, she's a dome golfer. She only contends when she goes low. Yeah, Cody, to your point, she putted really well today. Her putter through the first couple rounds was still just very uninspired. I think that it's no secret if she's not making putts, like she does hit the ball really well. She's long. Hopefully she's found something, and tomorrow can be another great day with the putter. Tron, to your point, she had another quote. She just the tail end of it too. She was like, what did she say? She was like, "I thought Erin Hills was a mental test, but geez, this one is a real mental test." We have a true kind of holistic examination this week. These women are getting it from physical, mental, patience, just everything. And JP, I think it's a great point. As you say, Nelly has seemingly outward is putting on a great attitude, and that's really nice to see.
I got something on that big real quick.
Yeah,
and
please.
I know that there's a lot that we'll talk about having Fields Ranch hosting major championships and big events and stuff like that. But we talk about, the temperature and the wind and how hot it is out there. And yeah, I think today, like at one point in time, I looked down on my phone and the real feel was 105. And I was like, sitting by a pool, like kind of chuckling to myself. I'm not out there playing, as very much talked about 6+ hours of golf. And you add in humidity and everything else. But also, there's a lot of time that takes leading up to their rounds of warming up and everything else like that. They don't have, unlike a men's event and really most majors, there's no gym on site for them. So when they start their actual warm-up routine, they're starting it like a couple miles down the road at Lifetime Fitness or whatever the hell it is. And then they have to travel over, and like the physios and stretching areas at a separate spot on property. And then they can finally get to the locker room where they can get dressed and get prepared. And then they got to hike over to the range. And like, it's weird for a campus that was built for this specific thing that there's not shit like this, amenities that you need for a major championship naturally built in. And I think that's adding to a lot of quotes that we'll get to in a little bit that are making these days that are already long on the golf course extremely long and painful for the competitors.
I'm going to plead ignorance. Like, how does the pace get that? Like, I get, it's playing difficult. So everybody's just hitting a few more shots. I still don't understand how in twosomes we're playing at the pace we are. Like, everybody's like within the rules. I don't understand it, guys.
Well, it's
I think they need to go like AJGA style,
but it's also twosome in 9-minute intervals. And I think
that's where it out more.
That's where they messed it up big time, is because literally it only takes one group at the very start to just create this nasty domino effect. And that's exactly what happened today. Now they're trying to get 156 around the first 2 days.
But today there's
nothing you can do. But today, like 100% is avoidable. When I looked at the television time and I was like, oh, it's supposed to TV ends at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. I'm like, that is not going to happen at all. And you saw they blew past it by over an hour.
Weren't even close.
And then like they just keep throwing money at the purse, which is great. But I mean, the coverage has not been good. The feature group coverage that they did on Thursday and Friday was really good with Judy and Grant.
Awesome.
It was better than the main telecast. I think.
I was missing it today.
Yeah. And then I think, I don't know, just they're throwing them back in threesomes tomorrow, like affecting the competition
for
a major championship on Sunday and teeing them off at before noon. Just to fit it in this bullshit TV window that's shorter tomorrow than it was today, too. It's insulting. It's bullshit.
It is. Okay. I want to get into Fields Ranch. I want to get into Amsterdam because I don't disagree. Is there anything else to call out from the leaderboard? Any other players you want to kind of highlight from the top 10 or should we just dive into it?
Hold on. I'll say this. Leona signs of life. We honestly thought she was dead for going on 2 years now.
Yeah.
The last real time that we've seen her was at the KPMG at Baltusrol 2 years ago. She kind of flashed a little bit of match play, I think, last year. Great to see her there. Yulimi No started out so hot, round 170, and then she's had back-to-back 74s. But really impressed.
She should be like right in the mix. She should be -3 or -4, like chasing Minjee. I mean, she's driven it like a demon. The approach has been great. The putting has just been like abhorrent.
She honestly not as bad statistically. She lost 0.9 to the field putting today.
I can't remember. I don't know if it was Paige or if it was Karen talked about like her stance with that long putter today, how she's like, wow, her stance has like gotten really wide today trying to like stabilize her. And I never really thought about that, but Big, I'm sure that's just how you naturally live your life. It's a lot windy up there where you're at than where, me and definitely TC, we know where his height's at. We got a little bit stronger base.
It's 100% a thing. I swear, you're a little taller. You just get, it's just easier to kind of, I feel like those things they put outside the car dealership when it gets real windy, you're just constantly kind of getting battered. Whereas like somebody like Miyu Yamashita, she's 4'11" on her Wikipedia. She's just not getting affected by the wind like that. It's I do think there is a bit to it.
Shout out.
Yeah. But yeah, Yulimi's hitting it great. I mean, even with like, God, she was so frustrated with the putter today. To be like tied for 6, it's a good week for her. But you're right, it might feel like a bit of a lost week. Also,
she almost had a hole in one on 7.
Yeah. No, she had an ace. She had 2 eagles. Just like this week too.
No birdies today. 6 bogeys, 2 eagles. I
want to shout out
drew it up.
Chisato Iwai, very impressed. 75 today, but very impressed overall.
Plus +2 overall, sitting at T6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grace Kim, 68, low round of the day today. Went out early and got it.
There's
she's,
two
I think-
players, TC, that are absolutely kicking themselves about their first opening rounds here. That's Ronning, who fired 76. She followed that up with a 71 and then 72 today. +3 overall, sitting at T10.
Yeah.
And then really
Ronnie
Charlie
made a late double on 17 that really she could have been kind of
Yep.
That was
good.
sloppy. Yeah. You're
But
right,
man-
Charlie. Yeah.
both of them. They even Wednesday when I saw them, I was like watching them, practice and stuff. I was like, oh, like, I thought for sure like Ronnie would be up for this, and Charlie, you never really know with travel and how she is, but she's won in North Dallas before. She won the Volunteers of America down at the Colony or whatever. I was like, she's used to this. That event was like the end of August and it was so damn hot. It's probably the one time I'm ever going to say it's a good thing that event is no longer on the schedule when it was. But yeah, 78 and then firing that, coming back with the 69, 73 today. But climbing up the leaderboard.
Yeah. You mentioned Leona. She had a good quote. She just, I don't know. I love her mindset. Leona, they were asking her about the setup and everything, and Leona said it, quote, I mean, it's a major. This is a little bit more how I thought Erin Hills would play, but we didn't get the weather in Erin Hills that I thought we would. She goes on to say, yeah, you just have to be very disciplined and execute your shots, which I don't have a problem with in a major championship. Maybe that's a good segue. I'll say too, running in. And of course they played well today, but I don't think it's a coincidence. Leona, Ronning, Nelly, great attitude. Ronning in was asked about the setup. She just said, yeah, I love it. I mean, you got to. I love playing in tough conditions. Just make you better and better. It's brutal, but it's fun. Which,
big to your point on another player I want to shout out, Angel. Love Angel, friend of the program. Angel was complaining that the driving was boring, that it was a bunch of boring driver holes. Well, she's not driving it very well this week. I think by her standards, she's like T20 or T25. So
yeah.
Just saying.
Need you to lock in a little, Angel.
Yeah. Okay. Angel, of course, opened with with a 71, 1 under 71, was riding high there. Has followed that up with the back-to-back 75. She's currently 5 over at T18.
I kind of would have predicted that as soon as I heard that quote Thursday evening, talking about, oh, it's a little boring. What did I say? Something? I'm like, oh, she's going to get, karma does not like that. I just was doubting that she was going to follow that up. Well, let's get into Fields Ranch then, because I think this is probably, besides Minjee and Jeeno, this is probably right there as the story of the week, certainly through 3 days. The PTI, the proper test index, is loving Fields Ranch East. It was at 11 heading into today, wow. And I think today it's lowered a little, just over 8. There was no clear wave advantage. I just have a few statistics for you guys to kind of set up the conversation. Early late was an average through the first 2 rounds of 75.99, while late early was 75.59. Entering today, both waves had 5 women inside the top 10. It does seem like there's more of a correlation. If you're putting it well, the top 10 in strokes gained putting through 3 rounds have an average position of about 12, while the top 10 in strokes gained tee to green have an average position of 24. But I think it all leads up to Stacey Lewis, who is a KPMG ambassador, is not going to go out of her way to flame the course, the venue, the setup. She was quoted, Beth Ann Nichols wrote this up in Golf Week Friday as part of a longer...
a little bit convoluted.
Yeah.
Trying to tie about 4 different things together.
As part of a longer article. But I have a few Stacey Lewis quotes relating to the setup. Let me read these and then would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Stacey Lewis, quote, "We had such a good run with this championship at very good golf courses, and then we come here." As a reminder, they were at Baltusrol, Atlanta Athletic Club, Congressional, Sahali were the 4 immediately prior to this. Quoting Stacey again, "The issue of this all too is make us look good. We're trying to get more people to watch women's golf and to watch us play golf, and setups like this, they don't help us. And this is when we have our biggest stages, network TV and all of that, and we're making very good players look silly. TC.
Get out of here with that. I mean, she's the same person that wanted to move LPGA headquarters to Carlton Woods in Houston and make that like the showcase spot for, LPGA moving forward. That place stinks. It's, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing golf course. I think we would all agree on that. It's, both the colors and the backdrop, the backdrops and even just like the sounds. It's your generators or construction or planes and stuff. I mean, Cody, you can speak to it better on site. It doesn't sound like it's dialed from an on-site perspective too. It's tough to go watch people. It's a big site. I heard some not great things about the shuttles and just the logistics in and out. It's interesting to see kind of how they've set it up. I've tended to like it. I think it's identifying like the best player. For the most part, I think there's, I think at the end of the day, it's a course that was designed to test the best men in the world. And especially some of these par threes, it's not designed, I think that it's not designed to receive run-up shots as much as, like some of these greens, there's just not a whole lot of pinnable space if you're going to play it from longer. I do hear some of the whinging and agree with it on, a hole like 8 or 17 of I think they're probably playing those holes a little bit too long. But like Beth Ann's piece was trying to tie in, like she already thinks that they play every course too long, and Brandel does too. And then I think the par fives have been properly set up this week. They're playing among the easiest on 3 of the 4 are playing among the easiest on the course. I thought they did a great job setting up 15. I was drivable and it took a good shot to get it on. So I think overall, I think there's going to be growing pains here. I think it's, I don't think it's the most fan friendly venue. But at the end of the day, and I think there's probably some stuff that they can do with, I think they're going with less runway tee boxes and more actual tee boxes that are flatter and everything. I think they're going to make that change. And they can grow in, I think it's going to add more texture over time too, with native grasses and all of that. But overall, I mean, I think the course was kind of Gil Hanse's dare of hey, if you guys aren't going to do anything about the golf ball, this is the shit that we have to resort to test the best players in the world. That's what this golf course is. And I think they're identifying the best player this week, bar none, by far. So
the leaderboard is great.
Yeah.
Cody, your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think it's hard to say that, I guess I can meet you there on 8, and I'm not going to meet you there on 17. The actual yardage on 17 was 124, 114, and 103.
That's where it should be. I'm just saying, as far as if you did play that farther back, that green is like something out of the Sandbelt or something like LACC,
Correct. 8, it's one of those things where, it's very hard when you have a green that's, shaped the way that it is with a, bunker front right and pretty severe runoff back left. And the wind is always coming over your right shoulder. And it's hard to hit the shot there. But I'll say this, and I tweeted it today, Jeeno has birdied that hole all 3 days.
Yeah.
So you can kind of miss me with it's impossible. At the start of today, all players, we had 7 women that were under par. None of them had bogeyed it.
Minjee's played it in 1 under for the 3 rounds.
Yeah. It's just, you got to hit the shots out there. But there is, Beth Ann's piece mixed a lot of different things together. There you have, there's an equipment issue that we can talk about. There's a setup issue that we can talk about here. Or are we talking about a design issue? And they're not doing a very good job of mixing all those together in that piece. And then putting, it's television, it's making us look silly. And I don't think that's the case at all. You have network television. You are on network television, hopefully getting, the diehard sickos. And I'll say overall ratings wise, people appreciate good golf, and the viewer understands what good hard golf is and what good golf shots are.
We can see
And
the wind blowing.
And I don't think, people need to look at a scoreboard and have it be 27 under par and be like, wow, they're great. I think that turns more people off. But I understand that's what, they like doing that on the LPGA Tour. And I think that's part of the LPGA Tour's issues right now, which I hope their new commissioner changes, because I don't think that that's actually properly highlighting the best players that they have. This week is highlighting the best golfers that they have on the LPGA Tour.
Cody, I think like 6 of the top 12 players on like the CME rankings are like in the top 10 on the leaderboard right now.
Yep.
Like that's and Beth Ann's also she's banging the drum to make the week to week LPGA courses easier, which a lot of weeks 16, 18, 19 under par wins. And so I think you're doing a disservice to ladies as well. Like they're not accustomed to playing proper golf courses like this. There's a reason that Minjee Lee doesn't have 15 LPGA Tour wins. It's because they're not playing golf courses that identify her as the best player. It's a birdie fest. And I think, I don't know, overall, it's just, what do we want this to be? Do we want it to be a major championship, or do we want it to be like, the Founders, right? I mean, it's 2 different things here. And and then on top of it, on the broadcast, you've got Morgan Pressel just saying, oh, sheesh, that was bad luck after every single missed green, or every single, instead of telling us why or what that player's looking at or how that ball ended up there, or that bunker, the wind off the right, like give us some intel, give us some actual analysis.
Yeah, you guys know we've all played Fields Ranch. The fairways are so wide. If you miss a fairway, you probably hit a really bad shot. Outside of probably 18 this week, that's 9. That puts them in a very weird position, because I struggle with that hole as well. Because if you're hitting, you can't really hit driver because it runs all the way down in this shit. All right. But for me, I can't. Fair or hybrid is the shot for me there, because 3-wood runs down, and then you have like this weird, you're on a downslope in rough trying to hit to a green, and the wind's coming behind you. It's like, it's a very difficult shot. But you hit hybrid and you basically, aim at the center line and hope that it hits one of the others, hits it on either side of it. So I understand that hole and where it's at, but the rest of it is, it's tough. Everything can't look the same, and I think we all get so used to courses that are, this golf course is going to continue to grow in, and it's not going to be aesthetically pleasing because it's in the prairie, man. Yeah. This is basically like, desert with a little bit of grass out there. Welcome to North Texas, do they
need to have it in July or in late June?
Well, that's an own goal by the KPMG.
Need to talk about that. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, shit, have it in the fall, for God's sake.
Right. Right. Yeah. Get a little creative.
I'll say this: in 2 years during the PGA Championship that's there, we're going to be having the opposite conversation, because it's going to be in early-ish mid-May, and all we get is rain. And we're going to talk about, man, if only it was firm and fast and the wind was up. There's not going to be a lot of wind, and it's going to be pretty soft. And we're going to sit here and go, sheesh, as they're playing it from 8,000 yards.
Yeah. Well, and I'd say too, the fairways are hittable. Obviously a strong wind makes that more of a challenge just to find any part of the fairway. But you also kind of got to be in decent spots within the fairway to give yourself the best look at the green. Like, just because you hit a fairway doesn't mean you should automatically have a comfortable approach shot in. Same with, like, if you are missing fairways and in the rough, like it might be a chop out. It might be tough to hold a green. It might be tough to make a par. That's, I believe, major championship golf. And I totally agree with the sentiment of, I think this is a lot more of what I want to see and what I like. And I think it just reinforces what week to week on the LPGA, they're just not tested like anywhere near this capacity. And so I think Tron, as you said, like the best players, the quote unquote best players, most of them are right up there. You know, you have all the big names on the leaderboard. But I just think, yeah, it's a bit of a disservice when you're going to take your pick of annual stops and
we get
you
the
know,
easy birdie fest week to
yeah,
week.
they're just
Why do
not
we
being
want
tested in their short game or managing a golf course. It seems like there you're probably just kind of turning into autopilot and just swinging the golf club. So I don't know, Jordan. I was curious one thing, because this is a bit of an awkward, I guess, thing for me to ask, but or for me to comment on. I'm gonna, use you being a woman to get your opinion. I felt like the broadcast, and I do have issues with the broadcast, but it almost felt like there was like this pitying of the players, like, it's really tough out there for them. Like, I don't know. We just got done with the men's open at Oakmont. You're not hearing announcers being like, oh, this is really tough. Like, oh, these poor women, it's like, is that, am I just reading into that too much? Is there a bit of a double standard? Like, hey, these are the best women in the world. Like, they should have a proper test. I'm curious your thoughts there.
You're not, because that language is like kind of normalized in a weird way on these broadcasts, and it's really weird. And like I notice it a lot specifically with NBC, and I'm just like, yeah, like that's what we're all here for. We're here to get tested. There's gonna be bad shots. What is like the pitying of it is all weird, and I don't. Yeah, you're not reading into it too much at all. I've noticed this actually a lot, and like especially the past few years. And I just, again, it's like strange. It's like, this is sport. This is competition. Like this is what everybody is a ride for to do. So I mean, why? Yeah, like why in our language talking about women playing this sport are we meeting that with pity? Or it's weird, and I wish there was a little bit less of it. I don't know. Instead of just, because in a sense, I guess you can commend the survival part of it, and that's not necessarily as disparaging, and maybe they don't think they're being disparaging, or but
Yeah,
it
I don't
is.
think it's malicious, but it just
I
comes
don't-
off like,
I don't think it's malicious.
Just
I
such
think
a
it's
tell,
just,
though.
yeah.
Okay, well, that's, yeah, and I just think generally, like, I don't know, we can do an extended Amsterdam maybe tomorrow, but like I do want to credit KPMG and the PGA. I don't know, what percent of credit should go where, but we have a ton more broadcast windows, right? There's more hours where I can watch this championship. You got to have a Peacock subscription. That's another story, but I've kind of resigned myself to that fight. But you can certainly watch a lot more of this championship. TC, like you said, the feature group coverage, while not robust, was certainly additive. I enjoyed getting to watch those rounds, certainly Thursday, Friday. The shot link, the statistics, the data that's available as a fan is tremendous. But I just come back to like the NBC broadcast team. There's just no juice. Like there's nobody in that booth that really is like making me feel excited, teaching me a lot. I just, and it's nothing personal, all the usual caveats, nice people, like, but I don't know.
Wow.
I wish Morgan gave us a little bit more. She seems just like to be almost too buttoned up, a little too, like she just doesn't want to say anything that would ruffle any feathers. I think Terry and Tom are, they're not.
They're just like NPCs. It's just like,
Yeah.
yes, they're like replacement level players that.
There's a lot of wind up doll type talk.
Yeah. And it's not, I think Terry's a talented reporter. Like I think he, talented analyst or host and everything, but he's not the guy that's going to get me excited when I flip on at 3 p.m.
Right.
And then who knows what happens tomorrow, when I don't think they're going to finish in 6 hours tomorrow, like
Not
in
with
threesomes.
no.
So that like the leaders are going to be getting to what, 15 or 16 at 6 p.m. Like what's NBC going to do?
Yeah,
Go to the local news?
No, we'll go to the cock.
the cock, baby.
That's what
we
they'll do. That's very good point, and you guys are right. We can talk about this more tomorrow. Champcast. I don't want them. They'll send us a note saying, "Hey, it's not Shotwing, it's Champcast." There, but you're right. We have a way more robust stats and everything else like that.
Yeah, which is great.
My thing is, it's just how do you go from the U.S. Women's Open? It's the same broadcast team or same broadcast network, and we don't got any of those toys here.
No, Tommy Roy's toys are back in the closet. We do not have Tommy's toys.
Is that like a thing? Dan's not on the road this week. It's Terry's show. Cara, who they made it such a huge deal. I think that was her first time hosting or in the lead broadcaster seat opposite of Dan. She's also not there. It's just, Terry. I don't know. There's so many really good people out there in the broadcast world. They're like, are people that are listening in the UK, Sky is literally just taking this dog shit coverage. Like, how hard is it? They're part of the same.
Give us the international feed and just superimpose that onto NBC.
Or like for the week, pay to have, Iona come over to be extra help on course and have fucking Allie Whitaker or Sophie Walker or anybody,
and get Mel back from live from.
Yes. Make it, elevate it, please.
Yeah.
Amen.
Let's do a FanDuel look here. Let's look at tomorrow. JP, you got 5 players. We're gonna get to that, but Cody, can you flash the FanDuel odds up right now? I'm curious as we look at the live market. I'm seeing on my end, of course, odds subject to change as they always are. I'm seeing to win Minjee Lee currently minus 300. Yeah. I'm seeing Jeeno at plus 360, and then FanDuel's telling us it's a 2-horse race. Heejin Choi is plus 3,500, Nelly plus 4,500, Miyu Yamashita plus 5,000, Lexi plus 6,500. And then
that's the biggest golf I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Tron, you're kind of feeling it this week. You're seeing your lines. I mean, I don't see a ton of value here, I guess, heading into Sunday.
Yeah, no, I think it's either, you take Minjee and then parlay it with something else, or do you take Jeeno and kind of, bet on some chaos, I guess. I don't think both of them are going to collapse, and I think it would take a lot from Heejin Choi or Nelly or Lexi or anybody else to kind of get up there. So again, the one that kind of just leaves me like Yalimi's plus 11,000, and she should be right there with, right there at least at like -2 or -3. Just such a bummer. So, and then checking in over on the Travelers side, like, similar kind of thing. You got Tommy minus 175, but then you got Keegan plus 400, Russell Henley plus 450, brilliant 61 from him today. We can talk about it tomorrow night, but like he penalized himself yesterday. Russell did for a ball, moving in the rough as he was addressing it as well. So, good on him. But yeah, next closest after that is Jade at plus 2,000, and then Scotty at plus 9,000.
That's perfect. Thank you. Of course, odds subject to change to our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. TC, you're kind of in a blender here. We're gonna see you out of this show here in a little bit. I don't know if you got to go pack like a night bag or something like that, or what do you got cooking here, dog?
I actually got to go cook. The kids are like beating on the door. I got the grill fired up and stuff.
That's fair.
I got some pork chops tonight, but no, Cody, I'll keep listening here on the back end, but I just wanted to hear what you had about kind of fans on site, the on-site experience, because looking at even some of the stuff, like I know it's hot out there, but some of the grandstands down the stretch today were mostly empty.
Yeah, sorry, just to piggyback, like I think Stacy's ire should have been more directed at like the build out for spectators
Totally.
than the course setup. But yeah, Cody, you've been there. What have you seen and experienced?
That's just TC. I asked him a question. What are you doing tomorrow? And he's just deflecting.
He's a pro.
Gosh.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean,
keep us posted, please. Keep the world posted.
And feed your kids. If you need to go feed your kids,
well,
please go feed
yeah.
your kids.
And again, like, and then one of the questions you guys had for me too was like disappointments of like, well, my disappointments are like Lynn Grant, Madeline Zagstrom missing the cut.
I called out the Swedes at the start of the
Lauren,
week. It hasn't been good.
Yeah, and Ingrid Lindblad.
All those fair weather countries that can't handle the heat.
Weird MCs. I think the Carebridge financial team or the Corebridge financial team, tough week for them.
It was always going to be a tough week there, I think.
A couple 90 burgers thrown up. There were 10 80s today. So that was not a disappointment for me. That was a great thing. But yeah, I'll let you guys take it. But Cody, like, what'd you see out there? Because I'm genuinely curious as to how the on-site experience looked and felt.
It's a great setup there, TC. Have fun cooking. Best of luck tomorrow, whatever you got going on. But our hearts are behind you either way.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So there's people in the chat. I've seen them that are kind of have been out to the event and everything. It's really tough outside of like 3 golf holes. They have a parking setup right across the street from the main. It's a big campus, 600 and some acres here, and they say it's right across the street, but it's a walk from the time that you get from parking to ticketing in through down the back end of the driving range up, and then you're like right there where the main clubhouse is, and then 18 green and 9 green, and that's really the only build out. I would say there's a couple of random grandstands out there, but no cover. For people that are familiar with Texas, there's a reason why the event didn't stick around Trinity Forest, is because there's no trees that are out there, and that's kind of how it felt at times this week too. Why would I go sit in a grandstand when there's absolutely no shade offered or anything else like that? So it's tough, but the scene around 9 and 18 is a good, decent sized build out. I would say it's very similar to the Chevron. It just stinks, man. Like I know that they're never, we're a long ways away from equality in between these two sports, and a lot of it is driven by revenue and everything else like that. But it's just like, man, look at the calendar, pull up the forecast, and realize that if you're, inviting a bunch of kids out today for, PGA family golf day or whatever, you got to have some place to be able to put them, some shade, additional mister shit like that. Yeah. On the good side of it, it's free water wherever you want, and they're spread out all over this golf course. And I walked the golf course probably 3 or 4 different times this week so far, between practice rounds and everything else. So it's never, you're never far away from free bottled water, which I appreciate. Most events, and definitely the PGA of America in the past have charged ridiculous amounts for that. So I like that. They're that's a 1+ there, but it is a very tough spectating course. You're funneled basically down one side because, there's a lot of natural waste and everything that's out there, and they're not going to put any rope lines through there. So it's tough. They need some more, more build out, more cover, definitely, if they plan on keeping it around the same date when they come back again in 2031.
Yeah. I had heard from 2 different caddies. I had started asking them, because I was curious about setup and if it was unfair and et cetera, et cetera. But the one thing that both mentioned explicitly was just, man, it'd be nice. One said it'd be nice if we took, and I'm sure the ladies would agree to this. Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But you take some of that money that's being pumped into the purse, and you just do more to, like, I don't know if you got to give tickets away, get kids, get families out, just to try to build more of an atmosphere. But like you said, Cody, this time of year, I just feel like that's a losing proposition at this venue specifically. It's going to be hot, and there's just not a ton of shade. It just seems like they were never set up for success based on the calendar. And I think that the 2 conclusions that these caddies kind of had were, man, if this is your first women's golf event, if this is your first LPGA event, you're probably not in a hurry to come back out anytime soon. I think that's really a shame. One thing that we kind of, I don't know, we joke about, but it's, it's like gallows humor, is like, it can be, I don't know. It just seems like sometimes it's really hard to like be a fan of this sport, it feels like. And I think a little bit for the people on the ground trying to be out at this golf tournament, it just hasn't been the easiest setup, build out. Yeah, it's just a shame. I don't know.
Well, it's also hard if you go to this event as a spectator to realize that once you get where, you know, everything kind of funnels you into, that you're walking, you're like, okay, I'm going to follow a group. You're walking in completely opposite directions of where like food and anything else to drink besides water is at.
Yeah, that's one thing.
You're not going to see that again until you come all the way back.
That's what they said. There's like no concession stands once you get outside of that main hub. Like no place to have a beer, no place to, yeah.
We complain about broadcasts being inaccessible, but for like the on-site experience to make things literally inaccessible is very inexcusable.
Yeah, it just, I don't know.
What I do know is that there's so many organizations tied into the property that they will get it fixed. You know, I know that not only when we come back for the men in 2 years, it'll be, of course, a much bigger build out, but all of these logistical things will be fixed. And I hope, and I'm sure that, you know, the more events that they hold of this size by 2031, it'll be, you know, back to the same, because nobody's happy with this right now.
No,
you know,
I think, yeah,
at any real level. And it goes from not just, you know, the course and the temperature or the wind or anything else like that. Those are things that we all knew going into it, but there's a lot of back end issues that are dampening the overall enjoyment of this event, from fans, from players, from anybody else who is around there. Fucking volunteers, normal staff, you name it.
Yeah. Craig Kessler, he's a Dallas guy, new commissioner, not technically on the job yet, but these are things we.
Oh, he is though. He is the
Okay.
COO of the PGA of America. Still,
yeah, he's still in his old capacity.
Job.
That's right, kind of, yeah, meeting of the world. All right, Jordan, let's get out of here on more of an upbeat note. We'll do a predict the winner on the way out, but I had tasked you, and I apologize, we're 70 minutes in, but I was like, Jordan, I would love for you to come with like 5 women that we should know a little bit more of. So I'm fascinated what direction you went here. Tell us just a little bit about, you can go whatever order you want to, but who are 5 women this week that we should just know a little bit more of?
So I tried to keep it within the top 20 of today. Just so in case something crazy happens or something, we see a name, etc., that they are recognizable. So this was actually very fun. Thank you for tasking me with this. I had a good time. I learned some things along the way, learned a little more about some players I even kind of knew about. So I am, just as you said, going to go in a very random order. Cody, forgive me if I flash these up incorrectly. For some reason, I lose all of my memory when I am backstage and operating things, as you know. But I'm going to kick it off with our first one, Miranda Wang. She is a rookie this year on the LPGA. So I knew Miranda Wang for a while because she won the match that won Duke a national championship in extra holes. So that was some BD stuff during her college career. She's number 2.
Interject. Sorry, let me just interject. She's currently tied for 18th. She's gone 77, 72, 72. So after a tough opening day, she's fired back-to-back even par rounds. Miranda Wang, yes.
Miranda Wang, yep. Number 212 in the world. She's an Epson Tour winner. She's only missed 1 cut this season as an LPGA rookie. So she's having a good season, all things considered. And yes, currently tied for 18th at the KPMG Women's PGA.
Tough year to be a rookie with all the Japanese success. If you're not one of those, EY twins or Okay, keep going.
All right. Next one we'll do Brianna Doe. She's gotten a lot of run on the coverage, and for good reason. For good reason.
Telecast
also,
darling.
Yes, also currently tied for 18th. Responsible for a lot of highlights this week, including an ace on the 4th hole. So sick. Like I shouted out short queens earlier. Shout out to a short queen. I think she's like 5'3", which I'm 5'2", so I'm right there with my fellow short sister. But yeah, 35 years old, turned pro in 2012. Had a college career at UCLA. 594th in the world, guys. So crazy. And this is actually
awesome. Sorry, no, I was just gonna say what an awesome on track to give herself a really nice paycheck this week, which is, that goes a long way for somebody like her.
Yeah. She's an Epson Tour member with 2 LPGA starts this year. She had a T10 in Mexico. So she's been on a good run. She was mentioning it on the broadcast. They pulled her aside for an interview after her round, and she was talking about how much good momentum she had of lately. So I find that particularly interesting, having a nice little late career renaissance. Guys, I found this really interesting. This is sort of a rare breed. She won the Pub Links in 2011, and then I started to wonder, how many Pub Links winners do we even have anymore in professional golf? I thought that was so sick.
I
wonder.
That's a very good point,
Jordan. Where has she been? What has she been doing? I just pulled up her bio here. So I'm assuming got her card, or she played Epson Tour in 2012, and then by 2014, she's playing pretty much a full schedule on the LPGA Tour. So what's the backstory?
I think she's just been on and off, guys. I think that's the backstory. She had a very up and down career.
I will say, looking at her LPGA profile, she's never won on the LPGA Tour. Only has 1 career top 10, and her official career earnings are just over 400,000. And so going back to if she has a good day tomorrow, 10th place is due to pay out 235,000. So, depending on if she does play well tomorrow, she could almost equal her career earnings to date just this week, which is crazy.
So crazy. So that's Brianna Dell. All right, moving on. Yumin Huang, number 42 in the world. So she's in off her ranking. She plays normally on the LPGA. She's won twice in Korea. She's had a really impressive putting week. I had that in my notes. A bit of a longer hitter. Currently tied for 18th as well. I have 3 in a row that are tied for 18th. I want to say, no, that's all. I remember going through this and thinking, oh my God, I had so many people tied for 18th. It's just 3. Currently tied for 18th. This I found particularly interesting. I found this from a Korean, I guess, I don't think it was a newspaper. I think it was just more of like a digital, one of their digital websites, from the Mail Business Leader. Her nickname is the Assault Captain.
That's right. I'm just looking at, I always default for all of the KLPGA players to the soulsisters.com website. I just noticed her.
So I went to Soul Sisters and I double checked, and there was the Assault Leader, but then I also saw Assault Captain.
That's sick. I love that nickname. She was at Erin Hills too. She made the cut, but kind of faded on the weekend, finished tied for 56. But I think Jordan, as you say, with her success on the LPGA, maybe somebody that we'll see at least a few times a year in majors, perhaps.
Definitely. All right, moving on. We've talked about her a little bit, I feel like, in the past, but I am happy to bring her up again. She got a little bit of shine on the broadcast today. Austin Kim, number 98th in the world, currently tied for 10th. Had an All-American career at Vanderbilt, was an Annika Award contender, earned her card after she won the season-ending Epson Tour event in 2023 and played well enough to keep her card for the 2025 season. She ranks, I thought this was interesting, she ranks 3rd in driving distance on the LPGA overall this season, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, and tied for 10th this week. I mean, again, someone else who a big week, even though, yes, she's ranked number 98, not 594th in the world, still could mean a lot for her as well.
I am a big Austin Kim fan. I was digging the aesthetic today, the big sunglasses. I like her golf swing. I think she's a little bit, I'm not sure if she's going to win anytime soon necessarily, but I feel like she is somebody that's taking steps and it just keeps getting better. I think we're going to hear Austin Kim's name. I like that.
Agreed. Great week for her, truly.
Yeah.
All right. And so my fifth and final one, who is also currently tied for 10th, is Minjee Lee, number 60 in the world. Is also won on the KLPGA. Tied for 10th going in tomorrow, like I said. I found this really interesting. She is sponsorless. I guess I didn't confirm who she had previously been sponsored by, but as you can tell on her bucket hat, she's rid of any branding. No sponsors.
Yeah.
And she has had no sponsors for a little bit.
I was independently kind of looking up stuff about her as well as she was on the front page of the leaderboard. She is now full-time LPGA. She obviously got her start in Korea, had some success over there, and then earned her tour card at the end of 2023. So this is kind of her second full season on the LPGA. And I'll just say, Jordan, I think she's somebody that too that, she's made 11 cuts and 12 starts this year. I think she's somebody that it's great to know. I think week to week, she's just going to be a name that's going to be around quite a bit. So
Indeed.
Good pull there. All right. Well, there are five women on the leaderboard, the top 20 that I think everybody will know a little bit more about tomorrow. Guys, let's get out of here on this. Is Minjee Lee going to win tomorrow, or does anybody want to stick their neck out and take somebody else? JP, we're always going to put you on the spot first. Who's your pick?
I'm Team Minjee. I think she's got no scar tissue. I'm Team Minjee. But she's playing defense all day, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting a big round out of her again.
I think everybody's playing defense. It's like who can play the best defense? Cody, you taking Minjee?
No, I'm gonna bucket here and go with Jeeno. I think everybody's due for a bad round every tournament.
I know.
Unfortunately,
that's in the back of my mind.
I don't think we've seen Minjee's yet, and I think there's a lot more for her tomorrow riding on it than Jeeno with a chance to run out and actually get it. And that's why I'm going to go with Jeeno. Now, if these were role reversed, I would be like, ooh, I think Minjee, has a better shot here. But I don't know. I think, Jeeno's kind of proven it to herself. She had a bad day today. She'll bounce back from that. And that's where I'm going. Sorry, TC. I'm going Jeeno.
I know. I think I'm going to ride with you, Cody. I'm going to take Jeeno too. Minjee feels a little Sam Burns-ish, right? Where it's like, you just know some struggles are coming. The more I talk, the more I think. I think tomorrow is going to be really fascinating because if Minjee does back up, Jeeno, who knows what we'll see. And then I'll be curious with the setup and the conditions. If anybody, if there is a 69, 70 out there, for a Lexi or any of these for Nelly, I think it's going to be good theater. All right. I think we call that a show. We'll be back tomorrow for the live show. Everybody watching, thank you very much. Everybody listening, thank you very much. Thank you to Titleist. Thank you to FanDuel. Let's have a great day tomorrow. Let's pray that we get it in under 6 hours for that final group.
Either way, we'll be back up, and I'm excited. Live from the Killhouse tomorrow night. We're pumped. Randy, let's go get it, brother.
Hell yeah. Jordan, thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.